Good morning to you. It's 11:06, and I said we would have a special singing star, a male singing star, on the show today, courtesy of the telephone, through the magic of the phone. And I am happy to say that we have him today. Would you just say good morning to the folks, and we'll let them figure out who is our guest.
Well, good morning, Mr. Behrens, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone.
Same to you, Tiny Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Behrens.
You're entertaining in Chicago these days, aren't you?
Yeah, we're really about 16 miles out, a place called the Bella Napoli Restaurant in Berwyn, Illinois.
Berwyn. I tried to figure out what side of Chicago that was on, and I can't recall offhand. Wanted to glance at the map before I even came on, and so I wouldn't appear to be too stupid about it. But is that on the west side?
You know, you got me. I couldn't tell you. I know it's not on the south side, because we visited, that place a couple of days ago. In fact, I watched a young group actually look, sound, and play like the Beatles.
Is that right?
Yeah, at a Catholic high school at Maria High School in South Chicago. So I know that it's not in South Chicago.
Well, there are a lot of people that are imitating Elvis Presley these days, but maybe this was going to be a new thing with the Beatles.
Well, this thing was very good. The whole place was packed with high school kids, and this group looked and played just like the Beatles. It was like the Beatles in fantasy, and then they had my picture up there and a big slide, because I did Nowhere Man with George Harrison.
Is anybody imitating Tiny Tim these days?
If there is, I don't know about it, except, people come up to me after the show and say, I did it once in a play.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think now. It's been probably a year ago, maybe even longer, that you were at Fanny's Trolley in Bloomington.
It wasn't longer than that. It was definitely at least 2 years.
You think it's been that long?
At least 2 years.
I'll recall that when you were in town, you were... you had just finished taping a thing at Mother's in Chicago that was going to be on television.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Wait a minute, Fanny's Trolley. I wonder if that's in Bloomington?
In Bloomington.
I wonder if that's the place that told me Johnny Cash was supposed to be at.
I don't think so. They had Buddy Rich, and, Bob Hope even guested there one time. He just stopped in. He appeared in town at Illinois State University, but he dropped in there one night. It was kind of fun. We have Tiny Tim on the line. But Tiny, I read an article just recently that said you may change your name from Tiny to something else.
No.
Is that right?
No. Someone called me Tubby Tim.
You have put...
I was putting on weight.
You've put on some weight.
Yeah, but I'm going back to my sunflower seeds now.
Can I ask how much...
Today.
Can I ask how much you weigh right now?
Well, I haven't weighed in the last 2 weeks. I would say about 250.
Whew. And you were... What before?
Well, the lowest I was 160, 140.
Mm-hmm.
So I put about 100 pounds, and that has to go off.
We have, we have a tendency to put on weight during the wintertime anyway, right?
Oh, you're nice and friendly. I put on all 4 seasons.
I'm tickled to death to be able to talk to you on the air live today, Tiny Tim. And in fact, if there's some people out there that want to ask you any questions, is it okay if we just have them chat with you?
Anything you want to say.
In the meantime, I would like to play a record that you recorded a while back.
Okay.
Since this is St. Patty's Day and we start thinking about spring and the green lawns and everything, it wouldn't hurt if we did a little tiptoeing, would it?
Great, love it.
Tiptoe through the window, by the window, by the barrel, he come tiptoe through the tulips with me. Oh, tiptoe from the garden, by the garden, on the willow tree, and tiptoe through the tulips with me.
as I stopped to think about that song, Tiny, you've actually would not have made it a practice of imitating anybody in particular, but you have styled your singing after some greats of the past, haven't you?
Well, I do have a lot of certain styles, you know, from the early Mr. Crosby to Rudy Valley, Byron G. Harlan, who sang in 1902, you know, and he was Thomas Edison's favorite singer, and there are quite a few in there.
Mm-hmm. Let's again remind the folks, 829-1225 is our number if you have a question for Tiny Tim. And we're going to get to those phone lines in just a matter of a minute or so. You get a hanging line. If you do get one, please hang on to it. It's 11:12 around here on the Ken Behrens Show, talking to Tiny O. Tim on St. Patrick's Day on the Ken Behrens Show. We've been kind of rubbing it in about St. Patty's Day, you see. But 829-1225 is our number. We're going to play a couple of commercials, and we'll be right back. Good morning to you. You're on the air with Tiny Tim. Do you have a question?
Yes. He was talking about going on a diet. What type of a diet would he go on?
Do you hear that, Tiny?
Oh, yes, Mr. Burns. Well, I could say definitely I'm going back to the only diet that I know really goes with me, and that's sweet German honey and apples and sunflower pumpkin seeds and ketchup from the health store and spring water.
Does that answer your question? Are you trying to lose weight, too? Ma'am? Maybe we lost her there, Tiny.
I must have bowled her over.
I'm going to take another phone call here at 829-1225. You're on the air.
Yeah, we were in Australia when he was in Sydney, I think, on Don Lane, and I wondered how he liked it.
Did you understand that, Tiny?
No, I didn't hear that too well.
Would you repeat that, ma'am, because I couldn't hear it very well either.
We were in Australia when he was in a tour in Australia, and we saw him on the Don Lane show, and I wondered how he liked Australia.
How did you like Australia, Tiny?
I love it. I mean, it's been about the fifth time I've been there. And that's right. That lady is right. I did a Don Lane show out there. I don't know if you're familiar with him, Mr. Burns.
I am not.
Well, don't feel too bad because a lot of people aren't here, but there's a gentleman who started from New York. I think his father was a policeman and he couldn't get anywhere. Came to Vegas, did a few things, but nothing happened. Went out there to Australia and became just like Johnny Carson.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he really made it big. I liked it out there very much. In fact, I loved Sydney. They had a lot of gambling all the time out there. I mean, the whole city of Sydney is, is gambling. And Melbourne was very nice. I went to Perth. I really liked it.
Thank you for calling, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah. 829-1225. That's the number to talk with Tiny Tim this morning on the Behrens Show, and you're on the air.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, I'm from Burwell, Illinois. I'm Steve Smith, and you were just talking about my hometown. You want to know where it was? It's on the southwest side of Chicago. It has a population of about 40,000 people, and it's just south of I-90 and a little bit north of I-55.
We have just told you where you are now, Tiny.
Oh, thank you very much.
Do you have a question for Mr. Tim?
Where was that club at that he was performing at?
It's called it's an Italian club,
It's called Bella Napoli.
Would he know what street that was located on?
I'm trying to think what street that's on.
Well, he got me. For all I know, it's right near the railroad tracks.
Oh, that would be on Stanley Avenue.
I see.
And I happen to know the owner. His name is Pino.
Right. Mrs. Sincotti.
Okay.
Steve Sincotti.
Good enough. Thank you for calling.
Thank you.
Maybe he'll head up there and watch you, Tiny. 829-1225 is our number, and you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Tiny Tim?
Speaking.
How long have you been on Johnny Carson's show?
Well, I'd say I've been about 11 or 12 times. Last appearance was in 1974.
When
that
will you
time,
be on again?
my manager at the time asked him to be on again in 75. And one of the talent directors says, "No way."
Well, how come? I liked it when I seen you on there.
Oh, thank you very much. Well, I guess when you have a hit record, we'll be back on again. But, when things are not going that well, they sort of, you might as well give someone else a chance.
Yeah. I watched Dolly Parton on there the other night.
Who's that?
Dolly Parton when she was on there.
Was she on, or was she
Well,
a guest host?
she was, yeah.
She was a guest hostess?
Yeah.
Was she good?
Mm-hmm. Just like you.
Oh, well,
Wayne Newton, I think, is going to be on tonight.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for calling, ma'am.
Yeah.
Tiny Tim is our guest today. You hold the distinction, Tiny Tim, of having gotten married on that show. And that is something that nobody else can claim, I guess.
Well, it was, really, a lot of people say it really wasn't for publicity. It just happened that Mr. Carson asked us in September, 2 months while we were engaged, and I always hold marriage sacredly. That's why I won't give her a divorce. It just happened to hit it that big, 84.5% of every television in this country was looking at it. And talking of Australia, that was also satellite, went by satellite out there.
Tiny Tim shot to prominence in a rather rapid succession. You were around for a long time before you ever made it
Definitely.
big, right?
Right.
So you know what it's like to be at the very top. You know what it's like to be at the very bottom. And I imagine it's a lot more fun being at the top, right?
Well, naturally it is, but I think it's one of the greatest trainings to go up and go down, because I believe that, and before you make it, if you're fortunate, but looking at those 3 steps before you make it, when you make it, and after you slide, I think it's a great experience in life to go through that cycle, and if you can still take hold of yourself, and thank God for Christ for His blessing to help me do that, I think you have a very, very strengthened attitude on life. Talking about Mr. Carson, I forgot to say that in '74 they called it a charity booking when, they asked the talent coordinators there. I guess it's like a savings account. They gave me that last appearance. And I told my manager that I didn't want to be on any show, that I've had my good times unless I made it again. But, managers, they say, well, you got to ask. You've got to ask, you know what I mean? But you don't have to ask. If you're hot, they'll ask you see.
Yeah.
So, but going through all those stages is very important. It's just like a slump in baseball. I mean, you have to, the more you press, the more you strike out. So the thing to do is just to try to bunt, and the hits will fall in again.
I want to get back to you and talk to you more about, everybody asks the question, how's Miss Vicky these days?
Oh, sure.
We'll ask you that. We'll also find out about the old Laugh-In show.
Right.
And, in fact, I hear that's coming back on again.
Oh, you told me that.
We'll be back here in just a minute. Tiny Tim is our guest. If you have a question, 829-1225 is our phone number. Good morning from the Behrens Show at 22 past 11 o'clock. Our telephone guest this morning is Tiny Tim. If you have a question, give us a call at 829-1225. Phone lines are open at this particular time. Perhaps you tried before and couldn't get through. Tiny, you got your start on the old Ronan Martin Laugh-In.
Right.
How did that come about?
Well, I tell you, I had so many auditions and didn't pass any of them. And while I was making, Tiptoe Through the Tulips album, for a reprise in Hollywood in '67, Monty Kay, who was once married to Diane Carroll, was working for the Laugh-In, I guess, and he came over and suggested me to George Slaughter, the producer, and so they decided to have me audition. I walked into the office in Burbank, and I took the ukulele out, and I started doing Lazy Totes and Dozy Totes and Little Lazy Tozy, and Mr. Slaughter just fell over and started to laugh. And then I did another one, Tisket a Tasket, and he called Ronan Martin in, and they all proceeded to do the same thing. And that's how I made that first audition. And after that, it was, clear sailing.
The article that I read this morning indicated that they're taking auditions in Chicago at this time for a new Laugh-In cast. However, if you get through, it's going to be you're going to have to be very, very lucky, because they're going to do auditions all over the country, maybe the world, I think, to try to locate some people for this show. And they're going to have guest hosts rather than regulars like Ronan Martin as the main characters on the thing, sort of like the Saturday night show, I suppose.
I see. Well, I hope it works.
I'd love to see you back on there again.
Oh, thanks. Well, if Mr. Slaughter wants me, I'd love to be on. Otherwise, I'm grateful for what happened in the past. I don't know if he wants a past format or something more modern, but the thing is, I'm grateful either way. But the thing is, I just hope these new people, make it very, very big. It's going to be interesting to find out if today's generation wants to go back that way or not.
Let me get back to the phone lines here, will you,
Sure.
Tiny? 829-1225 is our number, and you're on the air.
I wanted to talk to Tiny.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Tiny?
Yes.
Oh, my question is it raining in Chicago?
It rains. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't looked out the window, and I have curtains here.
Well, they have quite a parade up there. My second question is, where do you call home?
Right now, well, still New York.
Still New York?
Right.
Well, good to talk to you.
My pleasure.
Hey, you sound great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward to seeing you sometime.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am. 829-1225 is our number, and you're on the air. We're going to switch through here in a second. Go ahead. You're on the air. Hello?
WJBC?
Yeah, do you have a question for Tiny Tim?
Yes, I do.
Hello?
This is Mrs. Collins in El Paso, and today's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday, Mrs. Collins.
But I want you to sing me a song. Sing that Walking in the Tulips.
Well, we just played that before.
Well,
Okay, I'll just do her a few bars. I have the ukulele right here. Oh, tiptoe by the window, by the window, that is where I'll be on tiptoe through the tulips with me.
Well, that's fine. Thank you. And
Thank you,
I want to know
Collins,
how
and a
old
happy
is
birthday
a girl
again.
or a boy you have.
Huh?
What do you have, a girl or a boy?
Well, I have a girl.
How old is she now?
Well, she'll be 6 years old, in May.
Well, I remember seeing you when you was on the Johnny Carson show.
Oh, yes. Thank
And
you.
nice
He's
talking to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
he's a wonderful person. Thank you.
Thank you.
She holds the distinction of having Tiny Tim sing happy birthday to her. Boy, that was something.
Oh, that's my pleasure.
Here's another phone call, 829-1225, and you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Question for Tiny Tim.
Speaking, hello.
Hello, is this Mr. Tim?
Speaking, yes.
Hi. I want to know if you'd ever consider coming over to Central Catholic and doing a show for the kids.
Where is this?
Central Catholic here in Bloomington.
That's a high school, Tiny.
Oh, I don't mind.
Great. We'd love
I
to
would
have you
love
over.
to. I'll tell you, if you can get in contact with the people at the Banner Talent Agency.
Mm-hmm.
Which
The number is 581-6900.
Okay. Well, we all love you over here, and we're
I'd love
tuning
to
in
do
right
that.
now.
That would be
in
a
couple
thrill
of our
for me.
classes.
I'd love to do that.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Good enough. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
829-1225 is our number. Tiny Tim is the guest. How is... Yeah, I can bring... You don't seem to bother, or it doesn't seem to bother you when somebody brings up Miss Vicky.
No.
Have you heard from her?
Yeah, before I just want to say before I answer that, that number I gave the gentleman was area code 212.
Okay, that's in New York.
Yeah, I guess I've even had the pleasure of seeing her for the first time in 3 years and 2 months, just about a week and a half ago. She invited me over to her house in New Jersey and even paid the cab fare. And she looked very, very good. She looked very beautiful. Never saw her look that good in who knows how long. Said she was happy being alone. Said she just, didn't like having anyone. She gets tired of romances very quick.
Mm-hmm.
And I told her that, well, your place belongs to me, and I'll be waiting. That's the way the situation is.
Well, good luck with the whole thing.
Well, thank you.
829-1225 is the number, and you're on the air. In just a second, I think this call's... Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yes, I have a question for Tiny Tim.
Hello, speaking.
Yes, I'd like to know who does your hair.
Well, usually I do. I wash it, rinse it, condition it, color it every day. But the point is, the other day, working this Bella Napoli, you get so many people, come in and they want to do this and that. And so I said, fine. And so I went to this beauty parlor, salon in near Berwyn. It's called the Aldos. And then I went to another one. I went to Roger's Beauty Salon, and now they're fighting each other because the press came to one and didn't come to the other, and the other one gave me a hairdo first, and they're really angry.
I thought maybe Gene Shalit did your hair.
No.
Tiny...
Do my mustache.
You have a mustache?
No, he has a good...
Oh, he has the mustache, that's right. Thank you for calling, ma'am.
Thank you.
We are about out of time, Tiny Tim, and I know you have a schedule that you have to keep up with. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us. I've enjoyed it.
Oh, Mr. Behrens, it's my pleasure, and I just hope you give my best to everyone out there.
I should have told you just to call me Ken all along here.
Oh, what can I say?
But let me tell you one thing. I must confess, the first time I ever saw you on TV, I thought a bunch of people got together, sort of like a committee, and said, "Hey, we're going to come up with an unusual act, and you're it." You know, because there's absolutely nobody like you. You know, doing what you do and the whole thing. Then I got to meet you in person when you were at Fanny's Trolley, and since talking with you on the air here once or twice, we had you on before. That is just the way you are.
Oh, thank you. Listen, I just want to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day again, and I just want to say one thing. I had the pleasure of being on once a long time ago in '68 with Mr. Bing Crosby, and I know every one of myself just wishes he gets well real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that he couldn't, that it hurts him when he talks.
Is that right?
Well, you know, after that accident he had.
Yeah, he's still in the hospital as far as I know.
That's right, and that it hurts him when he talks, and so we all wish he gets well real quick.
Yeah. Tiny Tim, thanks so much. Good luck with your career, and maybe we'll talk with you again sometime.
Thank you so much, Mr. Bear.
Okay, bye-bye. Tiny Tim at 11:30. We're going to check news in just a minute.
WJBC News. I'm Alan Sender reporting.